In today's episode of the CuberCast Podcast, we will have Michael Chai, also known as Michael Chai Tea Latte, on Twitch on the podcast.
All right, so the first question is, who are you for the viewers who don't know you?
Yeah, thank you. So my name is obviously Michael Chai, as you guys mentioned already. But for the most part, for people who don't know me, basically I'm a speedcuber. I've been speedcubing for, I would say, 6 years. And honestly, like Twitch is something that's pretty new to me. And for the most part, the thing that I'm proud of most, or the thing that I do most in speedcubing, is I'm a WCA delegate. I've been a delegate for a couple of years now, recently promoted to a full delegate, and I just basically host comps, organize comps, compete. And then, yeah, as of recently with the pandemic, I've been going on Twitch for keeping content, and I started doing keeping content myself. And that's what a lot of people know me for now these days, just doing random things on Twitch, having fun, vibing for the most part.
All the podcast members, me, Humble, and Carter, we've all streamed in the past. It's fun, you know. And speedcubing as a whole is pretty new to Twitch. Like Kevin Hayes, he's been speedcubing on Twitch for a while. But like the first Twitch stream I watched was like in November of 2019 for Laser Monkey, and then I forgot that Twitch existed pretty much. And I watched it again in March for Cubing at Home, and it's just a year old. The Rubik's Cube category had a big explosion after Monkey League. So yeah, I think cubing for Twitch it's really good to expand it, and it's just a really fun experience to do it live and interact with people, whereas like YouTube, it's just a scripted video or something like that.
Michael is actually the first cubing Twitch stream I've ever watched. About 9 months ago, I literally just found out that cubing on Twitch was a thing. It was actually the first stream that popped up on the very top, and I decided to watch him, and it's actually really great.
I wanted to mention real quick, like I did remember Humble when he came into the stream too. So like he was, I guess, just asking about what I was doing and stuff like that, but also mentioning that just like how interesting, I guess, the content was at the time. And Humble, you said you were new, right, when you were doing that, or when you were there?
Yeah, you're actually my first cubing Twitch stream I was ever on.
Yeah, I guess for me, it makes it more interesting to build relationships through the chat almost. It's a little bit different dynamic, but I guess that's what also makes it interesting as well. But I just wanted to point that out. Like, I remember you from like the very beginning too, like when I was like doing one viewer.
Unfortunately, I was probably one of the most, like, you were probably one of the more recent streamers that I've seen. At least, like, I think my first stream that I watched was Monkey League, and I think I saw you, like, in January or something. And you were actually a pretty big inspiration. I started doing a stream grind just to get affiliate, and that worked out really good. I have affiliate now, and I don't really stream on Twitch that much anymore, but yeah, it's definitely a big inspiration.
Another really inspiring thing is like the evolution of Chai. I remember I was watching. I used to watch his streams and ask for stuff like chroma keying when I was starting out streaming, and I remember his webcam quality like wasn't the best. It was definitely better than mine, but it wasn't like on par with what it is now. And it was just really cool to see how he came from where he was before, and he is where he is now, which is just insane.
So, getting on to our next question. Now that Twitch cubing is becoming more popular, we're seeing a lot more people join cubing Twitch and live streaming themselves. Do you have any tips for some beginner streamers?
Yeah, actually, I get this question all the time in the chat. It's not really something that I'm used to answering still, because I guess for me, well, I guess objectively in Twitch, I wouldn't say that I'm a very big streamer. But by the percentages and by, I would say, the cubing community, because there are so few, it's actually quite larger than I thought my channel was. So I'm getting a lot of those questions, but I would say the biggest tip to starting your stream is to not fret so much about it, because I think people who are interested in the idea of streaming, people who are actually enjoying the process of streaming, you don't need the best overlay, you don't need the best content. You don't even need to be the most social person. As most people probably don't know, I'm an extremely introverted person. You don't need all those qualities. If you want to stream, just stream. So like, it doesn't matter. Just build something super quick, start streaming, download whatever software you want. The process you can make it really quick. And don't get discouraged by the numbers. I would say that For a streamer, for me, I would say these days I'm probably averaging around 15. I've been cutting it back a little bit. I've been averaging about 15, but what I'll do is open and honestly, I will try and raid people who I think are a little bit lower in the category. Usually, that's generally how I like to prioritize it because that's how people treated me. So I just feel like I'm trying to give back a little bit. But just a little secret too, I'm a sucker for overlays. So if you do have a good overlay, chances are I will raid you. But yeah, don't worry too much about the numbers because even if the raids happen, the big streamers pay attention to what you're doing. That doesn't make people stay. At the end of the day, you have to enjoy what you're doing. And to start that, you just need to get started. Basically, that's how you know if you like it.
So what I remember, one of my biggest raids was from Keaton Ellis. He raided about 19 people, and then I saw within 2 minutes it went from like 22 to 1. It literally no, that's actually what happened. Like it literally went from 22 to 1. I got about maybe 2 follows out of it. So yeah, having like raids isn't like, oh my god, this is like so life changing. Everything's gonna change. I'm gonna get so many followers. That's not really how it goes. You just have to enjoy streaming, and that's why I've kind of stopped because I didn't really enjoy streaming anymore. But when I did enjoy it, I definitely thought that I was streaming for the right reasons, not just to gain followers and all that.
Yeah. About 1 or 2 months ago, I actually hopped on one of Chai's streams. It was during Monkey League was actually going on. He actually did give me some great advice. I was basically saying, I know he asked if I was going to stream that day. I said no, basically, because I wasn't going to have very many viewers. And then he spent like the next like 3 minutes talking on about how the viewership doesn't really matter and I should go stream, kind of motivated me to go stream that day. And that day I actually got an average viewer count of about 8 people, which was actually really good for me at the time.
Yeah, for me, a big part of my Twitch success is my YouTube channel. Like, I started Twitch when I had around 700 subscribers, and I used to say I was going live on my YouTube channel before going live on Twitch, which wasn't the best way to get viewers. I mean, they're two totally different platforms, so that wasn't the smartest decision. But yeah, for me, I used to get like 20 viewers on my stream because I shouted them out on YouTube, but then I stopped doing the YouTube shoutouts because I knew it was pretty annoying instead of having like regular uploads, just shouting out that I'm going on Twitch. And I started getting less viewers, but I didn't care about the numbers. I just cared about how it felt more organic. And streaming, I haven't streamed in a really long time because school is pretty tough. But I really want to go back to streaming, and I can't wait till school's over so I can stream and upload more. Okay, so the next question is, how do you balance streaming and your day-to-day life? And do you ever feel burnt out?
Yeah, so kind of like what Karchik was mentioning, I kind of like that segue. What Karchik was mentioning, like how you're busy with school and stuff like that. The way streaming works, like if you were to have a growth mentality to streaming, I would say that every single person who recommends how to grow on Twitch is not doing what I'm doing, which is streaming way too much on Twitch and not making any YouTube content. So basically, what you want to do to grow is, if anyone is trying to hack, basically you use a really big YouTube channel, bring it to Twitch, and then they'll follow you because they're just interested in who you are. Like that's pretty much where probably I would say Kevin Hayes got a lot of his viewership at the beginning. I would say Laser Monkey at the beginning. Kartrick, like you said, like you too. I would definitely say that's probably the case. Keaton Ellis, and it's not bad at all. Like if you have really good YouTube content, chances are they'll follow you to Twitch too. They're just really engaged and they want to know you more. They want to engage with you from more of a more intimate perspective. So the way that I did it, the way that I am doing it still is I stream for way too long. So basically, there's no way for people to discover you unless you're live. So there was a period where I was streaming like almost 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day. So just the chances of how many people I would encounter because I was live was a lot higher. So what ended up happening was I did get burnt out. I didn't balance it with the rest of my work life, my personal life. Like it wasn't balanced at all. And I would say I even pushed through the burnout a little bit. And then I just I took it easy a little bit. I realized it was a little bit of a problem. Like I wasn't having the energy to bring it to the stream anymore. Like I was giving people less reason to stay. I think the things I was saying, the energy I was bringing wasn't enjoyable to the people watching. So that's when I realized the burnout was affecting the content. And then instead of pushing through it, I took a little bit of a breather, like a week or two. And then some other things started happening. I had some errands that I had to take care of, some life things to take care of. Like right now, if anyone's listening at this moment, I'm shopping for a car. So that's the reason why I'm not really streaming that much, because it's eating up a lot of my personal time. But after that first burnout experience, I've definitely appreciated working on a balance more. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Like, burnout is a very real thing. People say, oh, Twitch streaming is very easy, you just play video games. And for some of the platform, it is kind of true. Like, Twitch has kind of evolved from gaming into stuff I won't mention here, so, because they're probably children watching. But, all of the podcast hosts, we're minors, so we don't have jobs, and we don't have to do stuff like car shopping, as you mentioned. Like, so we won't get burnt out from stuff like that. But it's a very real thing when it comes to being an adult. So yeah, maybe we should like go to the place in Peter Pan so we don't have to go car shopping or whatever. But like actually, streaming on Twitch, especially for cubing, it's to interact with chat and solve plastic toys. It's harder than it looks, but it's not as hard. I don't know really how to explain it, but
Oh
you can
yeah,
definitely
actually, I interrupt you, but that's a good point. That's a really good
Yeah.
point. Like, if I'm at home and I'm not recording, it's not about the pressure that gets me worse solves. It's the fact that I realize that I'm not paying at all any attention to the solves that I'm doing, because I'm reading the chat. Because
yeah.
so all
It's
I'm
like
doing
doing
Yeah, I
mindless
get
solves.
that.
solves that are way slower than I normally am, and then I'm like, okay, well, after this realization, I'm not gonna get my best times on stream, and it's not because of the pressure. So KTK, you're absolutely right there.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
solves are a lot worse when I'm streaming and recording. But you know, I do it to interact with the people, not to
Exactly.
get good solves.
I got like a 45 on stream, and like I'm so sad about myself. I averaged sub 12. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought you were talking
No.
about Mega. Oopsie.
Oh,
Like 45 is pretty good for Mega Carter.
yeah, it is.
Mention how you did mention nerves earlier and how it wasn't nerves, it was focusing on chat. What I did find, those Twitch streams actually did kind of help with my nerves a little bit. So now when I'm recording better times, but Twitch chat with my nerves, I know people are watching, so I think it's just kind of good practice to get over some of those nerves.
Yeah, I agree, because it basically trains you to deal with, I guess, distractions and eyes in a way that you're probably not used to. Just you can get ready for competitions using Twitch. I can totally see that happening. I think people in real life versus online, the pressure will be, you will definitely feel a lot more in real life. But just I guess the benefit of you're gonna solve worse on Twitch is you're going to be more prepared to solve while there are stimuli around you. You're a little bit distracted. That's like good. At the end of the day, if you can solve it subconsciously and get decent times, that's a good thing. So it trains you in a way.
All right, let's go on to the next question. So, why do you like Megaminx?
Uh, I was thinking about this a lot, just like over the years, because I've been doing Megaminx, I would say, since 2016, and I started in 2015. I picked it up pretty quickly. I started when the Galaxy V. No, that's wrong. I started when the original Yoo-Hoo came out, and that was trash. It was so bad. The ridges. I'm pretty sure at the time, like 2016, people considered that hardware to be bad. Like, I think Megaminx probably had some of the worst hardware at the time, probably on par with Squan. 2016, I'm not sure when the Chi Squan came out. It was all coming around the same time, but it was pretty bad, on par with Squan. Clock was definitely worse. But I wasn't sure if I liked Megaminx because I was good at it or because I liked it as an event. Um, but if I think about it, I think I just liked how much freedom I had. Because when I started, I wasn't really averaging that good. I was averaging maybe 2:30, 3 minutes. When I got the Galaxy, it cut down on my times a little bit. But yeah, I just liked how easy it was to learn compared to 3x3. And I liked how, as I got better at it, I realized the more and more it's actually different from 3x3 in terms of how much flexibility I have with each solve.
Yeah. So if you know me and KTK, we both have a very bitter rival. We have a very bitter rivalry in Megaminx. So
Yeah.
it definitely sort of motivates me a little bit, like just to be like sometimes I remember. Oh god, like I think like before I was sub 1, the main reason why I was practicing was to be KTK and 2.1, and I did it. So yeah, I don't do that anymore because that's dumb. But yeah, definitely it motivates me a little bit just to see that I'm a little bit faster than KTK at times. Now I'm like pretty slow, like 55. And you're almost sub 50, so
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of motivated me in the beginning is I actually was racing people as well. There are people from the speed solving forums. We had this group DM running, and it was me, King Canyon, and Nathan Miles. I know you guys probably know Nathan Miles, but we were all actually racing in Megaminx, and that's what kind of inspired me. At the time when I first started, I was averaging like 220. I was terrible at Mega like 9 months ago, and then I started doing a ton of it, and then I eventually improved, and now I'm averaging about 120.
Nice. My main motivation for Megaminx, look, this is kind of embarrassing, but in like January or February of 2021, I was so garbage at Mega. I averaged like 3 minutes, and I was begging Owen for help. And I'm like, please help me, please critique myself. I'm so bad. So I was averaging like 3 minutes on the Yoo-hoo, and then I just started grinding, and then I got the Dian, and then that let me grind even more since it's really light, so I can do a lot of solves. And yeah, now I'm almost sub 50. So yeah, Megaminx is really fun because you have freedom to do stuff like block building, which you can't do on 3x3 unless you use like ZZ or something.
All right. When do you think that in-person competitions will come back, and what do you think they will look like, such as mask wearing and social distancing?
Yeah, so I definitely don't think this is private information, but as far as I'm aware, in terms of like the United States, there is I believe we have to cut down a certain number of new COVID-19 cases per day in order for competitions to be approved. Because when we approve a competition in the United States, I don't think there's going to be a really solid way to prevent people from wanting to fly into a competition, especially since so many people are interested in going back, like they're craving comps. And if we have a lot of people coming from different states, signing up for competitions in, I don't know, like Montana, right? Like if that were to happen, then that could potentially cause a risk. And the thing about competitions is that it's not just the kids, it's the parents, it's the people who are probably in their mid 20s, maybe mid 30s who are competing as well. So that's always something to look at. In terms of my own personal opinion, when I think comps will come back, if you guys saw I think, well, today's date is the May 15th. If you guys saw the new CDC updates, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to wear masks anymore, outdoors and indoors. Did you guys see that?
yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah.
It was kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't really old news, but
It's a bit
definitely very big
controversial.
news.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely at the very least controversial. So like people are like curious about it. People are saying like I'm still gonna wear a mask anyways. But what that tells me is that we're basically moving very quickly towards a future with no longer needing a mask mandate for the entire country. The only issue is probably like people trying to forge fake documentation to say like I am.
Yeah, that's a big business
yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's
Fake
the
vaccine cards.
only thing stopping it. Yeah, but I'm assuming once the state hits a certain number, they're gonna let it go. And then for comparison, California has been way under the normal case count for a long time already, and we're extremely vaccinated, almost like 80% or something like that.
Oh wow.
You guys see like you guys could see like SoCal vlog content just on YouTube. Like that
Yeah,
entire
all the
county
big
is
vloggers.
open. They're all open. So I would say we're closer than we think. Like we're still just living in a situation where we're all scared to take off our mask, myself included.
Mhm.
But we're closer than we think. Like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe not Worlds, but in theory, if NA champs were to happen the same time Worlds is at December, it would definitely happen, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I read on the WCA forums. I know this is not private information because it's public on the WCA forums. That Bob Burns said that if the 7-day average is below 27,000 cases, then we might see comps happen again. Now that's not confirmed. That's not definite, but Being myself, I've checked the COVID count like every single day because we're headed very, very close below that number. I think it's like at 34,000 right now. So,
Mm. Yep.
and it's falling steadily. So we're pretty close, but it's not. Of course, it's not guaranteed or anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
definitely, like Chai said, we're closer than we think.
And then if just to add on to that real quickly, so like for me, like I could very quickly form a competition in California and probably have it be safe. There'd probably be some sort of like safety precautions, maybe some sort of cap, competitor limit, spectator limit potentially. But that's just for California or just for where I am. Like I can't prevent people from wanting to come into a place where it's a bigger problem. And that's just not going to be within my bounds. So that's a reason why, even though I'm in a very safe place, I can't hold it because I have to take the whole country into perspective. And also, even though it sounds like a long time, most good competitions, the organization period will take a few months anyways. So if I say that a competition could happen in December, what I basically just said, it means that I pretty much have to get started organizing it in like September. At least get the ball rolling. There's like at least 30 days out that you need to announce it. It's been so long that I forgot the actual grace period, but to have a good competition and have everything run the way you want it to go, about like 2-3 months of preparation is helpful. And the only reason that isn't the case is if everyone is just like, it's a well-oiled machine, everyone knows exactly what to do. You set a deadline, you set a task to do, and it's done within the hour, something like that. And the team is just like, they've worked each other for years, which is basically what we've been doing for a while. But yeah, good competitions will need a few months anyways. So if I say December, there's a competition, that's very, very close.
Yeah. Adding on to what I said earlier about the vaccines, I'm pretty sure like forging vaccine cards is a big business now, and people will just say, "Oh, I'm vaccinated. I don't have to wear a mask," but they're like not actually vaccinated. So yeah, that's a problem. It's like some Americans probably won't be honest if they're vaccinated and just continue not wearing masks and not caring. So yeah, if you can, please get vaccinated. I'm getting my first shot next Wednesday, so that's really cool.
Yep.
And yeah,
we will fully vaxxed as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I got
We're
my
getting-
first shot today. My arm is like
Nice.
super sore. So,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely get vaccinated because not only will it open the road to like a lot more things, it might even open the road to cubing competitions. So just think of it that way.
Mhm.
Think of it that way. You also get a free donut too, so that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, the donut's a reason to get the vaccine. But yeah, in all seriousness, most Cubers are above the age of 12, so if you are, make sure to go out and get the vaccine. I'm pretty sure you can just like walk into CVS and get the vaccine. Don't like literally as Carter said, your arm's gonna hurt and that's it, and it'll be for the greater good of society. So yeah, make sure to go and get that vaccine. And the worst thing that could happen is Bill Gates gives you a microchip. For legal reasons, that is a joke. Bill Gates will not give you a microchip through the vaccine. Actually, go get the vaccine.
If I'm not mistaken, real quickly, since we're on the topic, I won't spend too much more time on it, but just to point out that the vaccine, the way that it works is that it gives you basically, when you're exposed to the COVID-19 virus, it gives you like a 99, the efficacy, it gives you a percentage of not getting sick from it. So theoretically, yes, people can still get sick even though they're fully vaccinated. It's just when the entire population is vaccinated, there's no place for the virus to jump, and then each person it jumps to, like 95% efficacy, basically there's a 95% chance your body will defend against it, which is super high compared to what I believe a lot of other vaccines can pull. But yeah, so so people know, theoretically you can still get sick, it's just greatly reduced.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. What equipment do you use for streaming, like your camera, microphone, and your software? Like when I first saw your new camera, I was amazed and I was asking you a lot of questions. So yeah, for the people at home who don't know, what is your equipment?
Yeah, so when I first started streaming, I used one camera, or that was a webcam. I used a Logitech C920. And a lot of people know that webcam. You can get it for like $50, something like that. And then I just I used that for a long time, and it's still my face cam. Eventually, I upgraded because I thought, would I watch my content? And when I answered that honestly, I'd be like, it'd be nice if it looked a little better. like I enjoy the content, but it'd be nice if it looked a little better. So I took a dive. I spent, oh man, I spent almost $1,000 just letting anyone know out there, and I bought some extra like add-ons, like stands, whatnot, and I bought a Canon EOS M200 mirrorless camera, new. And I've been so satisfied with what I've been able to make with it. It's really crazy. Like I haven't made any YouTube recordings, stuff like that, but for streams, it's been top notch. I'm super happy with it. And that's what I use today for my Cube Cam. And then now I use my microphone is just some sort of NW800 microphone. It's an XLR microphone. I have an audio interface to convert the XLR to a USB signal, something like that, because I used to record music. So the audio is very like primitive. Like most people these days will use USB microphones. So I wouldn't recommend my gear to anyone else. But yeah, you guys are right. You can always find my gear on my panels as well. I think for software, I use OBS Studio. I used to use Streamlabs OBS, but I was a little bit skeptical of the bloatware. I was a little bit skeptical of the lack of flexibility to make my stream unique to me. So I started using OBS Studio and never going back. OBS Studio is the place to be, at least in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, OBS. I use OBS. Streamlabs OBS is really good if you want to like import overlays. It's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. It's like iMovie, and OBS is like Premiere Pro. It's like the advanced version of Streamlabs OBS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like basically, Streamlabs OBS is just the easiest way to get into streaming. So if you're just starting out, there's no problem going to Streamlabs OBS. Just know that if you want to do it, like you're gonna get a lot more. You're gonna have more information, and you want to be able to apply it using OBS Studio.
Yeah, another big thing that Streamlabs OBS has that OBS doesn't have, I'm pretty sure, is the Command Z function or control if you're on Windows. Like if you mess up something when you're preparing your stream, you can't do like undo on OBS, but I'm pretty sure you can on Streamlabs OBS. So if you make a lot of mistakes, that's one thing I wish that OBS had. You should probably go for Streamlabs OBS. But once you get more used to OBS, you won't make as many mistakes. So I don't think the Command Z thing isn't that big of a problem.
Yeah, I thought it's pretty dumb. The studio can't do that, but you're absolutely right.
So here's a Q&A section. You guys submitted these questions in our Discord server. Please don't forget to join it. Link will be in the description below, wherever you're listening. All right, so let's get started with the first question. What is the most fun when it comes to streaming?
I used to think the most fun when it came to streaming was solving. And then that quickly faded. I realized that when I want to stream, the reason that I come to stream is basically to interact with all the people that frequent my stream. At this point, like I call them my friends at this point, all the people that I know. Like it's a very intimate group, and it's what makes time fly for me. So like it doesn't really matter how good or bad my times are. Doesn't really matter how my mood is going into it. It usually goes up. And then it doesn't really matter what I stream too. So like I don't just stream cubing. These days I'm almost like 50-50. Like someone was making a joke about this earlier, but I'm not even a cubing streamer anymore. I stream like 50-50 cubing content and chess content. I do a little just chatting, and I do some random things like, I used to do Pokemon, not anymore. But then I realized like why I'm okay jumping around and all that stuff is because I have fun either way. And it's because of the people that are there. So that's pretty much the most fun when it comes to streaming. Just getting everyone in, everyone chilling, having fun, and then
yeah, that's definitely my audience. That's just what's fun in YouTube in general, like any social media platform.
Any social media, yeah.
Yeah, I should follow up on that real quick though. I realized that my question is probably catered to someone, like when you think about it, like it's only fun when people are in there, and that's true. So like people are thinking like, but I need X amount of viewers to have that. And the way I'll challenge that is you really don't. So the chances are that you're gonna get one person in your stream is very high. Like maybe 2, 3, 4, like I guess that's questionable. But all you need is that one. It could even be a real life friend. And then the same rules, the same things apply. That's the same enjoyment that you can get out of it. Just really have fun with the people that are there. It doesn't matter how many. It's like you don't need a lot of friends, you just need the one friend, if that makes sense. So don't be discouraged with numbers still. You're still find that enjoyment.
Looking under your recently streamed categories, you have Rubik's Cube, chess, just chatting, and PGA Tour 2K21. And yeah, that's a big variety of different things. I mean, chess and cubing might be similar because like different opens and different solutions. It's kind of cool. And yeah, you're almost at 1,000 followers, which is really really cool. So yeah, congrats. Make sure to go follow him.
Where do you see the future of cubing streams, and how quickly do you see it becoming a mainstay like YouTube cubers?
Yeah, so I think I saw this question, and then I made a YouTube video surrounding it, and then because I really wanted to hash out what I thought about it. Um, the long story short of it is, I think personally, cube streaming is here to stay. Whether or not like how big it is probably a different conversation, but just what cube streams remind me of is the social interaction I get from cube comps. So what are we doing at competitions when we're not competing? I mean, assuming you're not staff or a delegate like me and being responsible, what you should be doing, or what you're probably doing, is keeping and talking with your friends. You're at your round table, you're doing your thing, and that's pretty much exactly like how 90% of cube streams go, anyways. So I think it's going to stay, and I think there will be an interest and engagement in it, especially while like competitions are still scarce. But just in general, the feeling of having it just at any time you want, that's why I think it'll stay. I love the idea of cubing and just chatting just kind of being one category. And that's what makes it really interesting to me. And I think a lot of people crave that. I think people, if you're subscribed to Cubehead on YouTube, he literally made a 2-hour solve session video and people were watching it. And what were they doing? They were probably watching and solving it, right? Like, of course, they're probably looking for the Easter eggs, but that's the idea. Like, the content is here to stay. The super drawn out long form cube content. Like, it's not as boring as people think it is if you're into that sort of thing. I would say if it becomes a mainstay like YouTube cubers, YouTube has this longevity advantage in a sense that you could search reviews from 2012, 2013, right? I think you guys have probably mentioned it before. Like, if I want to look at a Diane Zanchi review, I can. And what is it going to do? It's going to add a view to that video made almost 10 years ago. And that's not something that exists on Twitch. So in terms of it being bigger than YouTube, I mean, I seriously have my doubts, but I think it's going to be extra. It's not going to take away from YouTube at all. YouTube is not going to take away from Twitch. It's just going to be extra content for people. I don't see a reason why one would eat into the other.
Yeah, I guess it can like grow through separate different paths. Like you normally don't associate Facebook with YouTube, but it has a community. It's not like it's out in the dust. It has a community. So I think that's kind of important in terms of the growth of other social media platforms and cubing.
The last question is, do you think cubing channels, or in this case also Twitch channels, could hit 10 million subscribers or followers?
Well, I guess 10 million could happen in a lot of different ways. My belief is that cube content is the next. My belief, I think a lot of people are interested in it, but my belief is that cube content would be the next chess content. But the problem with YouTube cube content right now is I think people are already experiencing this. That's why we're seeing a lot of different type of content on YouTube now. But it's cookie cutter. It's review, unboxing, I don't know, thought piece on the cube compared to the rest of the market, why it's too expensive or why it's going to change the market forever kind of thing. And it's just, rinse and repeat. So I don't know, in terms of like 10 million is way more than just cubers. So it's got to be something beyond that. I think there are some really solid YouTube channels that have a chance to have content that they expand enough to where that's a possibility. In terms of Twitch, they're going to go hand in hand. If there's a YouTube channel or if there's multiple YouTube channels that hit that big of an audience, it's going to flood into Twitch. And then if somehow Twitch gets that audience first, maybe through, people looking for weird like puzzle things, then it's going to flow into YouTube as well. I think like they're going to be interlocked forever. And I think it can. I think, long story short, yeah, it can definitely reach that level, in my opinion, the way I view Cube content is today.
Yeah, there's this YouTube channel called QB. It recently hit 3 million subscribers, I think, and I'm pretty sure that's the biggest cubing channel. I'm pretty sure he just got famous off of one video, but still 3 million subscribers. For non-cubers, I think it just needs like one really big video to get big. Like Despacito, you need just another video with 7 billion views, and then you can get famous. I think just he needs like a big video that can get him to 10 million. Right now he's at 3 million, so I think 10 million is very doable.
Yeah, so thanks. What I was gonna say is it's gonna take it's not gonna happen like organically. It's gonna take something of a huge advertising kind of thing. Because I think if you walk down a street and you're holding a cube, you're solving a cube, people are inherently interested. But it's more of a scheme of how people are going to be exposed to it. Like, it's probably going to take some sort of marketing from sort of big company. It's probably going to take maybe a new documentary. I mean, if you guys know the Speedcubers, check it out. By the way, the Speedcubers on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, you're living way under a rock there. But it's going to take stuff like that. It's going to take stuff like, even though the Speedcubers got nominated, them winning whatever award they're supposed to win, stuff like that. And after that kind of thing happens, then everything else follows suit. Like the content will probably stay the same, but just more people will be exposed to it. That's my hunch, and that's my guess. And I'm just assuming it's going to take something like that, to be honest.
I had a very long spew that I put inside the Discord Q&A. If you're not already joined, join our Discord server for this podcast. Now, I'm not going to say the whole entire thing because that would take way too long. But basically, my current thoughts are, yes, it's possible, but it is going to take a while because if you look back a couple years ago, what was considered a big cubing channel at the time, take Thrust, for example, I think he had 70 to 80,000 subscribers, if I'm not wrong. And now you compare it to what we consider a big cubing channel now, like JPerm, who has almost 500,000 subscribers. Then you can definitely see the growth inside the cubing community, as well as the YouTube cubing. So eventually it'll reach there. It's just a matter of time, but it probably will take a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. Looking at the WCA, the World Cube Association website, there are approximately 150,000 people that actually are on the thing. So, I just did a bunch of math, and if you double that number, so 300,000, that's 450,000 people that cube. So, if you're trying to reach a 10 billion, you're going to have to grow artificially, which isn't necessarily the best, but theoretically it could happen. Like, for example, non-cubers that watch this really cool Rubik's Cube trick, they subscribe.
Exactly.
They never look at it for another 10 years or the rest of their life. So, yeah, that's definitely one of the reasons why I think it's going to hit, sadly, 10 billion subscribers.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much right. That's exactly like what I was thinking too. Like, there's not actually 10 million cubers like who are actually frequenting the platform. What I was going to say is I was kind of driving home the point, and is really even though that we're asking these questions, and I ask these questions myself, like when it comes to actually going through the process and making a content, just making sure that you're not skipping the process, making sure that you're not focusing on the end goal, but just focusing on the journey that you're taking. So like a good example is I think a very reasonable way that like more people get exposed to cubing is the world championships being held and it becoming more of a spectacle. Maybe Rubik's will contribute. And I think, by the way, what Rubik's is doing is I love what they're doing personally. I think they're trying to expand their outreach and get more people into the cube. But like the world championships, how are the world championships going to be held, and how are they going to be held in the most fun way, in the most WCA formatted way, like actually going through the process and making sure everything is right. If you're too focused on the end, you'll probably skip some steps that are crucial for people to see you at the end. You'll never get there. So that's really like, even though I think about it sometimes myself, I just try not to anymore. And that's what I tell people now when they ask me, like, just don't worry about it. And that's the same thing how you get better at streaming too. Just worry about what you're doing in the moment, and then how you're going to get better from there. And then everything else will come naturally.
All right, and I think that does it for us. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the CuberCast Podcast. Please don't forget to follow us on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, and just if you're listening on any other platform, just do like follow or something like that. We're on a lot of platforms. I cannot count them anymore. And yeah, thank you to Chai for coming on. We really appreciated it. And
Make sure to go follow him on YouTube and Twitch. He's getting really close to 1,000, so that'd be really cool.
all right, yeah. So don't forget to use discount code Chai at thecubicule.com for 5% off your order. Yep. Thanks for coming on, and see y'all next one.